The farm, Mudgegonga. Today we talk about the social farm, the buildings and infrastructure, and where we're up to. Good morning, Judy.
Good morning, Darren.
Today I'd like to talk to you about the construction and the development for this social farm and what buildings have been built, and there's meandering places and resting places. We're overlooking a beautiful big veggie garden, massive, and a potting shed. Can you tell me about the potting shed and what's that going to be for?
Well, it's an interesting stage of our building the farm because it's not quite as I imagined. I think at first I just thought we'd be putting in, expanding the existing garden and doing a few little changes, but nothing too radical. But when I sit here and look at these garden beds, I think we've gone a little bit further than I had planned, but very happily so. So the idea of being able to use all our own products, so you think about what does a farm produce. We've talked about the farm producing beef. Well, when you've got a lot of cows, you've got a lot of manure. I've got a lot of soil. We've got a lot of straw. We've got chooks that have scraps and that create chook manure and all. So we have a compost area where we're composting all this and making the most rich soil. I'm very lucky we live in a part of the world that has good soil anyway. But we are using a whole lot of things on the farm to reinvest in the farm and grow beautiful produce. So whether that produce be pasture in the paddock or whether that produce be vegetables, as we're looking at, or citrus or stone fruit, we're very lucky because we've got all the right ingredients. So yeah, we've got these lovely standing garden beds which we've put together from native cypress pine. We've created them at a height that people can stand or people can be seated into motorised scooters or wheelchairs. They're all a little bit different and they can enjoy gardening, hopefully doing a bit of weeding for me as well as picking the product.
I think there's like a dozen or more large raised garden beds at different shapes for wheelchair access, as you said, alongside a magnificent shed, a potting shed, that's got a really steep pitched roof, and Mick, the builder, built that.
Well, Darren, I thought I was going to get a dare I say, a Bunnings kit shed to do my propagating and potting, and Mick came along and I thought he could do something a little bit better than that, and oh boy, he's done the most extraordinary shed. Looking at it, it looks like a miner's cottage. It's made of recycled timber. A lot of the timber has come from a neighbour who had a pine plantation that in Black Saturday was partially destroyed and the timber wasn't able to be processed. So we've used a lot of his timber. We've sanded, we've lacquered, we've put little bits in to straighten out. Well, I say we, that's really a very broad thing. Mick particularly has created this incredible shed that is very earthy but very practical, with beautiful benches of wood, timber benches and again, recycled doors, recycled windows. And we now have that as our little centre where we can work on workstations to propagate plants, to repot plants, to do seeding, native seeding. I love doing seeding natives, growing our own trees, and anything related to growing plants and trees. And of course, as with everything in this place, it needs a name. At the moment we call it St Michael's because it has this beautiful vaulted ceiling that makes it look a little bit like a wedding chapel. But anyway, I'm not sure Mick likes it being St Michael's, but for now it's St Michael's.
He won't let it stick, but we'll try it. We'll keep talking about Mick. He's down there making a noise at the moment, so sorry about that. We've talked about the chook shed in the previous episode. Now, what is Leanne working on over here? Is it a sensory walk or what's it?
Yeah, so Leanne is working on a sensory garden, a sensory walk. It's a bit of a work in progress in that, like so many things here, we start it and we're not quite sure what it's going to look like in the end. But the whole of the farm zone, of the social farm zone around the houses and sheds is on a slope. So a lot of things we've had to do have had to, take into account how we get, firstly, ground that can be levelled so that people can walk on it and use mobility scooters and wheelchairs. So there's a lot of paths that are 1 in 20 paths, and that means they've got to wind up and down, and it means we've got to manage different heights. So the sensory walk is a way of managing different heights. So we've got a high ground and a low ground with this sort of walk that comes in that will have a wall. In fact, we're planting today some of the wall of plants that will be all different types of sensory experiences. So soft and spiky and smelly and gooey and whatever we can put on that wall so that people can, just have a different experience as they walk along and take in different senses, hopefully make their senses feel calm from picking the area that they like, whether it be the lavender area or the lamb's ears or the rosemary or the cascading nasturtiums or whatever we have there. And then it's almost like a little dark walk because we have a hedge at the top, we have some running water and some stones that are going in to create a little grotto space.
Leanne's an element over there at the moment. And talking about all the levels and the slope of it, Dave has done an amazing job of having the gradient at exactly...
1 in 20 gradient. So the idea was that if we build this place on the principle that everyone can access every part of it, then we've done our job. It's not that that's all who will access it, but that no one is excluded. So it's universal design of building. And that meant that every part, whether it be the shed or the potting shed or the garden beds or, for that matter, the toilets or the morning tea room or the orchard or what we hope to build an outdoor games lawn, every part needs to be accessible by path, and a path that is very gently sloped. So that's probably been, I could almost say, the biggest part of the build. We've got a few buildings above the ground, but actually getting the levels right and levelling off these on a slope, such a big zone, has been extraordinary achievement. And Dave, as I've said before, has that incredible gift of understanding levels and soil and water, and has been able to get divert water away from the areas that have to stay dry and level, and creating this network of paths that I think will be quite fun for people to explore.
Everyone wants a Davo, but we've got the right one, I think.
Don't tell him that. No, I think we've just got to be a bit, we definitely have the right one. And as I've said all along, the right people have come into my life at the right time, and he was the first one to join this project, and so much of what we've done has been because of his skill.
I've learnt stacks from him. Now, there's little walking spots and there's sitting spots and resting spots and quiet areas. So what does that all mean for the people who are going to come here and visit?
Well, at the very, very start of this project, people would say to me, well, you want to have people out there for the day and people to just spend time out there, but what on earth are they going to do? Are they going to be, building things or doing craft or digging in the gut? What are they going to be doing? And I'd like to think that we're not going to be prescriptive about what they're going to be doing, but that we're offering enough things that everyone can find something to do. And that something might be something active. It might be a craft activity or an indoor game activity, or it might be woodworking, or it might be picking fruit and making jam, or it might be anything. It might be skill sharing for people that come with particular skills that they want to give others, teach others. But it might just be simply coming out for the day, walking around the paths, lying on the ground, sitting on the bench, watching the ducks, looking at the bees on the garden, looking at the sky. It can be whatever that person needs to feel good, because I said the simple philosophy of our farm is we want people to go home happier than they came. And however they find that happiness, I don't really care. We've just got to put all those options out there, and then people can choose what they do.
And what is Mick and Dave working on down there at the moment?
We've had probably the biggest part of the build has been the need to have accessible toilets. There we go. That's when I've had people here before. So I've had this idea for quite a long time, and my mother before me would have aged care visits. People would come on a bus from an aged care facility and have the day out here, or retired farmers or other people in groups. But we've always had a lot of trouble with the getting people on and off the buses, getting them all around the garden or wherever you want to take them to, or to meet the animals, but also to use the bathroom, because if we're not near a town, so everyone's had to travel. And so we've had to put in, in fact, a number of toilets, but significantly altered toilets. So 3 disabled toilets, including one that has a shower and will have a hoist, and you know, so that anyone can enjoy this place. So at the moment, that's what we're building. It doesn't sound very glamorous, but the building that houses these facilities is what we call the farm centre, and it'll also have room for people to sit and have a cuppa and a little kitchen there that we can create product and value add to our product, and a beautiful big veranda around the outside, so again people can just sit on the veranda and on a day like today, which although it's nearly winter is sunny and clear skies, simply look out the paddock and watch the birds and butterflies, ducks and bees.
The duck pond, that's going to have some more structures around it too?
Duck pond, definitely. The duck pond grows each week in our thoughts. We like the quirky out here. We've got plans for all sorts of things, little bridges, little decks, plans for a tree house, not just little grottos, but little areas that are interesting that people can go and sit and take a different perspective of things. So we'd like to make the new duck pond somewhere that encourages other native species as well, so perhaps have some frog hotels. We've got other projects that are native fish habitat, but you know, the more teeming with life we can be, that's what we want. So to be able to sit there and actually look at not just the ducks but the frogs, all the insects on the dam, that we can encourage by putting some places for them to hide and some old logs that they can be part of and shelter in. Yeah, it's going to be. I don't think we're ever going to quite come to the end of this, but anyway, we're on a journey, a long one.
There's eventually going to be some long walking tracks, a native walk down to the creek. I've started doing a little bit of fencing for it, but what will happen there? That'll be for a longer walk. It's about 1 kilometre or so.
Yeah, well, initially we've planned around the buildings which were around the houses, the old house, the original house, and the more modern house, or 50-year-old house that we call the new house, and the sheds. So we've planned this zone, but the farm is more than just around the houses. In fact, the great beauty of the farm is out the paddocks, and I think all of us find when we're out the paddock or down the creek with the rocks and the forests and all the native animals and trees, it's a very special place that, you know, again, I'd really like to share with people, but to get people there can be difficult. You've got a lot of gates, you've got a lot of fences, you've got animals to go through. So we'd like to make a few pathways that you haven't got the bull in front of you to get past. You don't have the electric fence and you don't have a lot of gateways. So a couple of walking pathways to take people to some of the more beautiful places on the property.
You've got a lot of tradespeople here today, so I won't keep you long. You're in demand. But thank you, Judy. You're doing this all for the goodness of others. And we're going to talk...
No, I'm doing this for the goodness of me, I think, just to make me happy, because, you know, I said there's only so much living with your dogs joy can bring you, and I hope that both living with the animals and then also sharing that with other people brings everyone joy, and that they can, and as I've said before, it won't be for everyone. But if it's for anyone else, then no, I think it'd be a great thing to be able to share it.
Thank you.